All right, we are live 5 seconds early. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for Thursday, the 27th of January, 2022. John Lavenia here with you. And I see Catherine, I see Lindsay. Good to see you guys. And if you're watching on YouTube, good to see you as well. Actually, I don't see you, but you see me. So that's a good start. Of course, you can see a lot more of me by going to jlsuccessmastermind.com. Grab yourself a free trial membership and see if you're a fit for this group. We've had yesterday, we had a great general session, and we also had books for Britain. So our members here, you can tune into the recordings of that. Of course, if you're in England and you attend that live, then you've already been through that. So that's great. Today we have our general session and nothing more besides our hospitality suite, which is always open. I know we've got a lot of people working on business stuff, a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So that's really good. A lot of advancement going on, a lot of progress. Which made me think of something that I wanted to sort of, I don't know if resurrect is the right word. You know, a lot of us have been involved in our book study group for a while, some of us have been around enough to remember the Science of Getting Rich workshop that we did. So this was the first time we had opened it up to general public, promoted it, had a bunch of people there. We covered in 4 sessions over a week's period of time. We covered that book. It's not a very long book, but it's something that we could spend a month talking about. Anyway, we spent a week talking about it on 4 nights. And one of the things that were discussed, and if you were there, you remember, and if not, you can always catch the replays inside your members site. But one of the things that were discussed and that came up multiple times in the book, and that kind of metamorphosized a bit as we went through the book, was the syllabus. The main idea that all of the other writing was based on. So that's what a syllabus is. It's an outline of, the material in the course of study. And then we got to the end of the book, and there was the final chapter is the summary, which is like an expanded syllabus. So what I want to do today, because it kind of hit me when we were thinking and reviewing the book, one of the ideas that came up was that this is something worth memorizing. This is something worth actually getting in your brain to the point where, it's a dominating philosophy that you can fall back on all the time when we invariably, forget, get off course, whatever. So I just went ahead and I pulled up the actual, the PDF of the Science of Getting Rich. And I'm going to go right to the last chapter. And I wanted to pick out just a few things to discuss with you today as reminders and as, I guess, points of discussion, because it's really how we apply this stuff that makes the difference. It's not just sitting there and, reading it. I mean, that's nice. Okay. But I guess it's better than just watching TikTok videos or something. But there is use for this stuff, right? All education is for you. So anyway, here's the summary, and it starts with direct quotes right out of the syllabus, which appears a couple of times in the book. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. So this opening sentence establishes that there is energy. Basically, he's citing, the ultimate of laws, if you will. Energy is. Okay, great. So there is a thinking stuff. Now, in Napoleon Hill's book, which happened a couple decades later, where he talked about thoughts are things. Okay, so this thinking stuff, like it's a thing, okay, out of the no thing. This is something that is so easy to overlook, which is why I think we need reminders all the time, because I don't see the thinking stuff unless I'm conscious of my own thoughts, right? Which, is a deliberate action, right? Which is also easy to forget to do. But I don't sit there observing objectively. There's the stuff. You don't see it, right? All the other stuff that we do see, which is very convincing to the 5 senses, right? That's what we typically have our attention on. So right here, he's coming out and saying that this penetrates everything. So behind all of the stuff that we see, here's energy. Here's the thinking stuff, which you're experiencing right now, whether you know it or not. All right. A thought in the substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Now, in our current book study group, we're into the Law and the Promise by Neville. And he talks about being an imaginist. Okay, so imaged by the thought. So we are now. I'm sorry, are you guys seeing my screen? Okay, is everything working out? I just got to notice. Yeah, we're
Yes,
good.
I
Okay.
see it.
Good. So the idea of, once again, being deliberate about our participation in the thinking stuff, right? Our participation in that is causative. This is a wild idea for a lot of people who have been strictly subjective or deductive, let's say, who have been strictly deductive up until confronting philosophy like this. So you mean I'm actually causing all this? You mean I'm not just an effect, just like all the other effects that I see. See, a lot of times it's easy for us to pool ourselves into here's physical world stuff, and I'm physical world stuff, apparently, right? I'm the body or something. Well, then you're an effect. How causative are effects? They're not. They're not. Effects don't create effects. So right here, he's touching on what Ralph Emerson called the law of laws, cause and effect. So what do we got to do about this? Well, we've got to be deliberate in our thinking, which he talks about, previously in the book, the use of will. 2 chapters on that, by the way, the use of will, the mental faculty of will, right? Your ability to choose the right thoughts and to do that consistently enough that you get emotionally involved in the image of the wish fulfilled. Back to Neville in the book we're reading now, it's thinking from the end, not thinking of the end. It's over there somewhere. No, thinking from the end. In it, I'm in it already. As that person. That's how we put that thought into into production, right? It says here, man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. A lot of people doubt this. I've doubted it plenty of times. And when we're in the thick of thin things, as Steve Covey said, and again, being, going into a state of agreement with, circumstances and outward appearances, then it's easy to doubt this stuff. But again, previously in the book, he talked about at length, multiple times, the certain way that people don't get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. So the certain way is the absence of doubt, right? That's the way that he's talking about. Now, in order to do all this, man must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. Otherwise, he cannot be in harmony with the formless intelligence, which is always creative and never competitive in spirit. This is a loaded paragraph. I was just thinking today about the interesting phenomenon of some people who seek domination over others. Like they want power over others. Now, when we think about the personality or the character that would seek such things, this is born of the competitive mind. Think about this. Anytime we're comparing, here's me and here's all these others, okay, and I need to be better than or dominate or something, right? Right there, there's an us versus them competitive type thinking that goes on. Whereas if we acknowledge that harmony with the formless intelligence, which is always creative and never competitive, if we acknowledge that there is no competition, that the formless substance is infinite, that there is no limitations on what one could accomplish. Do I need to dominate you for me to get what I want? No, I can just go create. You think of it like the big pie in the universe, right? And I want more pie. Does that mean you get less? No, that just means we make more pie. You can make as much as you want. This is tough for a lot of people, especially if they've been indoctrinated for years or decades into competitive thinking. Now, that doesn't mean, you don't have contests and win trophies and whatever. That's good sport, part of the game, right? Playing games, that's fun. All right. So yeah, there is such a thing as competition. in that sort of a field. But what he's talking about here is having it consume you to the point where your worth is dependent on your having compared yourself to others and decided that you're better than them. Look, there are people, all of you right now, all of you listening to this right now are better than I am at certain things. And I'm better at you at certain things. Okay, fine. Are we just looking for a mirror? Is that what I want? I just want everybody, to be the same or something? No, of course, that is the argument of the, like the socialist, right? Where everyone, is proletariat or something, and you're just part of the, part of the machine or the state. Individuality is ultimately eradicated, which is why it doesn't work, right? Just look at history. It's never, ever worked, right? There is such a thing as an individual. There is such a thing as self-determinism, okay? And it's a good thing. In fact, you can't have a powerful group or state or whatever without powerful individuals, right? And by powerful, I don't mean powerful over others. I mean creative. I mean working with the law. But back to the individual, right? Which is what we're talking about here. We're talking about coming into harmony with that formless substance. Okay, now he gives us a couple of tips on this. Sincere gratitude for the blessings it bestows upon him. So here is an acknowledgement that, creation already is. I'm participating, but I'm not, I don't have to have all the answers. They're being bestowed upon me. Gratitude unifies the mind of man with the intelligence of substance, so that man's thoughts are received by the formless. So as the old saying goes, draw nigh unto God, and God will draw nigh unto you. Nigh is Old English for near, right? So how do we express that? How do we get near to formless substance, to energy, to creation, right? Well, gratitude. And we're grateful for what? We're grateful for what we have. Well, start acknowledging what you have rather than looking at the appearances, which may be uncongenial or, lack, limitation, whatever. Again, very seductive, okay? But gratitude for what we have brings us closer to that, what he's saying, the formless, okay? So he's attempting to be a bit non-denominational with his words. Man can remain upon the creative plane only by uniting himself with formless intelligence through a deep and continuous feeling of gratitude. So gratitude is the greatest wealth creation emotion ever discovered. And the opposite of that, if we look at, what causes riches to take wings and fly away, he talked about it here in the book as well, envy, which is what? Which is an admission and acknowledgement of competitive thinking, comparing yourself to others, and that you don't have. So you're better than me and I lack. That would be envy. Very different than gratitude. Do you ever think of it that way? Do you ever think about what would be the opposite of gratitude? Envy. That's an interesting, is it an exact opposite? I don't know. I mean, we're talking about how you experience it, or I guess the fruit that it bears, right? If we look at it in terms of advancing or declining, right? Growing or disintegrating, well, then those, pretty much on the opposite side of the spectrum. Man must form a clear and definite mental image of the things he wishes to have or to do, to become. So you see, here's having, here's doing, here's being. And we've seen these three words go together again and again. Of course, I wrote about it in my book, and I wasn't the first, right? It's be, it's do, it's have. You got to be something to do something. Okay, great. So let me be a person. Okay, great. Now I've got a body. I can do something. All right, well, I'm going to do the work, right? And then I did the work so I can have the money or the results, whatever. It's be, do, and have, right? I couldn't have the money if I didn't have a body, and here I am doing the physical world thing. So it's be, and then do, and then have. So he included all three of them here. And he must hold this mental image in his thoughts while being deeply grateful to the Supreme, that all his desires are granted to him. It's written in the Bible, as you pray, believing, in your heart that it is done unto you, you shall receive. I'm paraphrasing right now, but as a man thinketh in his heart, so shall it be done. So in life, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. And that's that unification, that yoga or yoking, right? That unified state. So the man who wishes to get rich must spend his leisure hours, says here, must spend his leisure hours in contemplating his vision, capital V. What did Solomon say? Where there is no vision, the people perish. And in earnest thanksgiving that the reality is being given to him. Too much stress cannot be laid on the importance of frequent contemplation of the mental image, coupled with the unwavering faith and devout gratitude. This is the process by which the impression is given to the formless and the creative forces set in motion. So let me now admit my negligence. I'm busy, guys. I don't have leisure time to sit around and contemplate, whatever. Okay. Well, whatever you say, John. You're too busy. In some Buddhist cultures, lazy people are considered so because they don't spend enough time in their study and meditation. All they do is work. Those are lazy people. They're working all the time. See how lazy they are? Here we have this, and again, just to kind of give you some Buddhist philosophy, here we have this rare incarnation. You get to be human. Wow, that's pretty freaking huge. And you're doing what? You're just spending your days like chopping wood and carrying water. Friggin' rats can do that. The monkeys, right? The panda bears or whatever, right? So like, wow, you've got consciousness. You're like sentient and like arguably awake. Well, go advance in your spiritual pursuit. Don't just do labor all day, lazy person. Interesting philosophy, right? The creative energy works through the established channels of natural growth. So I don't have to force anything here. We got law working for us here. And of the industrial and social order, which is constantly changing, right? You think about that. In our modern economies, there are methods and orders which weren't just a short while ago. How many of us are engaged in online business? Right? I'm heavily engaged in online business. My goodness, we're online right now, right? Look around. All that is included in his mental image will surely be brought to the man who follows the instructions given above and whose faith does not waver. What he wants will come to him through the ways of established trade and commerce. So now who established them? Well, you can have a part in that, or you could just show up in the 21st century and take part in that which has been proven workable, right? Here are communication and commerce channels. Fantastic. I didn't have to invent the internet. Al Gore did that for me. Fantastic. Coming to the end. In order to receive his own when it shall come to him, this is good, guys. Man must be active. And this activity can only consist in more than filling his present place. In other words, don't just sit on your laurels. More than filling his present place, being bigger than your present place. He must keep in mind the purpose to get rich through the realization of his mental image. So remember, he talked about often, right? In your leisure time, you're thinking on these things, you're thinking from the end, you're experiencing the gratitude, the faith, and the fixity of purpose. And he must do every day, all that can be done that day, taking care to do each act in a successful manner. He must give to every man a use value in excess of the cash value he receives. So in other words, exchanging in abundance, right? You came to me to an example he used earlier in the book. Here's the child that comes to the store and buys a stick of candy and gives me the nickel. Well, I give him the stick of candy and a smile and gratitude for his being a customer. And what happens? He comes back with his friends, right? This is increase. This is the advancing man or woman, the impression of increase. So that each transaction makes for more life. More life for who? More life for everybody involved. And he must so hold the advancing thought that the impression of increase will be communicated to all with whom he comes in contact. So like right now, we're having a conversation. It's my intention that you leave bigger, stronger, better, faster then you showed up. That's how, even if you're just stumbling upon this as a YouTube video or something, that now your life is better having met John Lavenia. Okay, great. And so now, does that come back to me like immediately and from that source who I served? I may not even know that I was serving right now. I don't know who's listening to this. No, okay, but the universe has a perfect accounting system, which I don't need to know. I don't have the spreadsheets or whatever. All I know is that you seek to be the advancing man or woman and impress others with increase, with advancement, having known you, and you always have customers. It always comes back. Again, this is where a bit of faith comes in, right? Because I don't have the accounting, I don't have the spreadsheets, man, and nor do I want them. Can you imagine if we had to account for all this? Like karma, right? So here's the ledger, and every day you need to account for, what went in, what went out. Not only would you spend your entire time, like your main work in life would be accounting for every little thing, which you're not even conscious of, right? All kinds of stuff is happening all the time, which you don't even know, right? Plus, we've got this whole reticular activating system thing where, we've got to filter out most of the inputs, right? I've got so many inputs right now, right? If I was paying attention to each gleam of light at every little, everything, right? You lose your mind, right? You can't work with that much data at once, right? So great news. You don't need to work with that much data. Our friend Missy, who's here with us right now, one of our members, has multiple times celebrated the simplicity of like the teachings of Neville, which is the book we're going through now, where it's just about being an imaginist, right? So really putting that vision so solidly into your being that, I mean, that's basically it. You need more instructions than that, right? Really, what he's talking about here, he's elaborating, okay, but really, when it comes down to it, it's be, do, and have. If we so thoroughly became that advancing man or woman, it's pretty much effortless to impress others with increase, right? If we're seeking to be the best version of ourselves, as the saying goes, right? Then do you need to make effort to impress others with increase? I mean, if you're not on the competitive plane, if you're on the creative plane, well, then it's all about creation, right? So let me help you create something. Again, there's plenty of pie. Let's go make some pie then. My daughter, I'm going to use an example. So she's pretty remarkable. A lot of you have at least seen her running through the house or whatever, but she has an entrepreneurial edge. Can't imagine where she got it from, but she likes to buy stuff. She wants stuff, right? And so there was this thing that she wanted to buy. It's about $100, and so she decided, well, I'm going to do a bake sale. Cookies, great. So she induced my wife Shannon to go and buy the ingredients, and they invited the kids over, and they baked the cookies, and then they sold the cookies on the street corner. And she got the money and she got the thing she wanted. Okay. A few weeks later, one of the other neighborhood kids wanted to buy this other thing that was, $100 or whatever. And so she helped him. You know what? Let's do another bake sale. We can help you raise this money. So here she is, not only for herself and her own, gratification, creating increase, right? But also helping another who may not have had that, the impetus to conjure that up for, himself. So she was a leader in that way. She's an advancing girl, right? And others who are in her midst experience advancement. Now, that's just a simple little example of someone being creative. But I mean, what's she gonna look like when she's in her 20s, right? In terms of, if she keeps that up, and I intend that she does, and that she learns other business skills, right? Like not spending all the money and purchasing more raw materials so you can scale up and increase your profits. We're getting to that part. Okay, it's the gratification is still definitely a thing, but the willingness and the again, the impetus to let's find a solution for this. I'm advancing in life. I'm not retreating. I'm advancing. That's beautiful. Evie the other day on one of our sessions, I think it was last week, talked about having kids, really celebrating and helping them, get on that runway of creating what they want, right? Because they've got methods, like it was said earlier in this chapter, there's methods that didn't exist a while ago that kids right now, what was the one example Ivia gave? 7-year-old girl, it's already got millions of dollars in revenues from YouTube channel or something. Okay, great. I don't know how to do that. Well, I suppose I could really study it and do it. But yeah, and there's a certain degree of appeal to a certain segment of the public. So anyway, there's one 7-year-old girl example out of probably hundreds of thousands who've taken a swing. So is luck part of it? Right? If it was duplicable, probably every 7-year-old girl would duplicate that. But that's one example. One example. Point is, you don't have to be a rock star or something to impress others with increase and to cause advancement for all who come into contact with you. And yes, you will be paid. You will. All right. Again, I don't know how to account for all that, but it just works. The men and women who practice the foregoing instructions will certainly get rich. And the riches they receive will be in exact proportion to the definiteness of their vision, the fixity of their purpose, and the steadiness of their faith, and the depth of their gratitude. So here it is. Here's the promise. Has to work, certainly, without doubt. Riches they receive, okay? Not might receive, they receive, okay? Exact proportion to the definiteness of vision, purpose, faith, gratitude. There it is. So I read that again today, thinking, you know what, I should know this by heart. This is just really rich. This sums up the whole book, which I've read multiple times, and I'm going to read again. In fact, I'm going to go through the recordings. In fact, I was thinking, you know what, that workshop that we did, for those of you who experienced it, I thought it was spectacular. We created a worksheet, like a guidebook that people can go through and kind of contemplate some questions based on the material in the book. Again, it's all on your members site under the recorded, book study group. But that is a standalone product, right? So I'm thinking, you know what, why don't I put together a little, web page or something to help people get access to that? Because it was great. And look, these teachings have had such an impact on my life that I deserve to keep coming back to them. It's, I mean, all the other stuff that we read is great, but just like we were talking about, like Neville, if you really get just one of these concepts, like this one chapter that we just read together, right? One page and a half, whatever. If you really get that, and you just get it, my goodness, what else? What else do you want to talk about? Obviously, I'm still working on getting it. Give me time. It's only been a few decades, right? Still working on it. But I thought you would get some value out of this today, because look, all of the other dancing around the issue that we could do and that we do throughout our days and, throughout our life, it's always good to come back to center, I think. It's always good to come back to, here's some workable ideas. Let's prove them to ourselves. Let's work with them. Let's actually use it. All education is for use. So let's use it. And let's see the fruits, right? A lot of you are seeing the fruits right now. Again, so much advancement going on in this group. Thank you guys for being high integrity people, for taking that action. So see, here I am, without even thinking about it, doing what? Acknowledging you, right? So is that not, and just dissecting, the own words that I hear coming out of my mouth, is that not an impression of increase? Look, I just acknowledged it. Does that feel good or not? I mean, here's the opposite of that, right? Go through life being ignored. How does that feel? Well, that sucks. Okay, great. Well, there's just one way. There's one way, without even thinking about it, that just happened. I'm acknowledging you. Can you go and acknowledge others? Hey, great job on that. Hey, I like your hair. Well done on that project. Of course. Does that bring people closer to you? It sure does. It sure does. And there doesn't have to be like a big agenda. around. It's not, there's no big agenda. It's just being you. The person in lack, competition, envy, that, no, I suppose they could try and fake it. I suppose. I don't know that that works, right? I've never faked it till I made it. I don't know. I've had to, maybe it's just for me. Maybe it's my path has been harder than other people's or something. I don't know, but I got to do it for real. Like I can't fake it. It just doesn't work for me. I got to do it for real, like for real. Hence, integrity is everything. So anyway, I've been talking for a half hour. I just got a half hour out of one page and I went fast. What do you guys think about this? You got any thoughts on this Wally guy and whatever he thinks? Missy.
If you just take the last sentence of Uncle Wally's book, and if you take a few tidbits from Neville Goddard, and you pick a few pages from Joseph Murphy, that is all you need to make a success and leave an impressive. They all talk about, they're all very noble-minded men. They were noble-minded men. And they are still leaving an impressive increase. And that's our duty to pass it on. And I just thank you so much, because that's my favorite book. It's just incredible, the formless substance, the way they each explain it in a different way, but it's all the same thing. And Neville Goddard is more like Guy Jimmy Jeannie, and this guy is more like, and Joseph Murphy is more centered, almost quasi-religiously, but it's all the same thing. It's the tools that God gave us, and it is just wonderful. I'm sorry I was late, and I'm so glad what I saw, I was so happy. So thank you so much again, John, as always.
Thank you, Missy. So if each author has a different style, and they do, I'm wondering what's my style? The Pitbull, Godzilla. Yeah, I've been called the Godzilla of personal development. Like, look at that! Do it now, damn it! Oh my goodness! Get off your ass.
Go ahead. That's
it. It's the spiritual smack around is my method. Hey, Allie. Welcome to the Spiritual Smackdown event.
Oh, I could listen to it all day. I love this so much. Thank you. I know it's, just constant reminders, isn't it? But I've been really starting to see now the fruits, and it's just, it's very, very exciting. And I mean, it's just the way, isn't it? It's just so true about that. It just helps the awareness of how negative we can think and look at and get so caught up in our current surroundings. That's so crucial to, like you were saying, think from the end, be right in that end state. Mm-hmm. That is so key. And I can see that you can think surfacely in your conscious mind, but how important to get that emotion and connect with that emotion of your end goal. Yeah, I love it. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Ali. So glad you're here, my friend. Hey, I just realized I'm still in my gym clothes. That's okay. Let's see. We got Mandy here. Hey, Mandy, what's going on with you? Thanks for Books for Britain yesterday, by the way. It's awesome.
Oh, that's okay. Well, it sort of relates to that in a way and follows up what Ali was saying. Well, I just came in because I'd just been delivering some leaflets, and I came in and I have that up on my vision board, the page you just read. Wow. Because I love the science of getting rich so much that because it doesn't, I just realized it doesn't take everything from every page, but at the end of each chapter, he sums it up and it gets more and more and more until it ends up on the last page, doesn't he? So I've just been going through it with you and highlighting it on some of the bits I hadn't highlighted it. But it reminded me that I had it there. And one of the things I find the hardest, because I love all the books that we've read, and they all do come to the same sort of conclusion. Most of the ones that we read with the power of subconscious mind, like Missy was saying about Joseph Murphy. We haven't done the last one yet, and this one and Think and Grow Rich. It's trying to make sure that we don't forget that, because even though it's been on my vision board, I haven't read it. I wanted to read it all the time. That's why it's there. I don't know if you've got any advice on that bit, is how you, because you do one book, you finish it and you highlight it. I've got them all in here. I've been printing them off as I go along. And I've highlighted them, and it's taking that time out to come back and go back through those bits, because as you're reading each one, it's like, that is so amazing. That bit is so good. That bit is so powerful. How do we make sure we use it all and not just walk away? It might be my old age, I don't know, but you forget it quite quickly in some cases if you not keep doing it. I mean, that's always there about the power of conscious mind, like Ali was saying, it's always there. You know that's what you could be using, and you do, but it's making sure you formulate that every day. And that's what I struggle with sometimes. And I want to be doing that much more, because there's so much gold in here that we can use.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I think you maybe have answered your own question, right? So vision board is one form of a reminder. I know for myself that I could actually have on my calendar 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there of break time. Okay, so what did he say? Often in your leisure time, right? And you do this often. Okay, well, maybe schedule that, right? So, yeah. I mean, look, how many times, do you go visit, the bathroom in a day? I mean, right there, you could have, I know some people that keep a book or a journal or something. And, I mean, since you're sitting there stationary, well, maybe have some thoughts. Right. So, or book of quotes. That's always an interesting one. Oh, go ahead, Mandy. You were going to say.
I was only going to say I take my phone when I go to the bathroom,
Right.
but that's okay. I've got it on Audible, so go and find it. Or I've got it on Kindle. I've got them all on Kindle Audible, so it's fine. Go and find it on your phone. You've got to take your phone. When you find it on your phone,
Right.
You're still there, isn't it? It's still a good idea. Yeah. But you were saying you were going to say something else then.
Well, no, it's just like a book of quotes that people can have. So that's I guess depending on the quality of the quotes, but the idea that we are. See, here's the thing when it comes to my own approach to personal development, is that it's not like a part-time thing. It's a full-time thing. So that is where a lot of people on the outside saying, oh, well, you know what, I want to learn methods and whatever, and as it relates to this or that business, that's all good and right. Okay, but who's doing it is the bigger question. The person who, every now and then they get a little bit lofty or something and they get emotional or, enthusiastic, or the person who lives in a chronic state of enthusiasm. It's a completely different experience. The methods bear fruit completely differently for each of those people. And so are they the advancing man or woman? That's the question, right? And if so, well, use whatever method you want. You have to succeed. You have to. So, and what did he say in the book? That if all of your actions are efficient ones, then you must get rich. So what qualifies as efficient? Each individual action done with purpose and faith. Therefore, it can't be a part-time kind of a thing. You have to be it. You have to be it. So no faking this. Yeah.
I think a lot of it does come through. It does get through, whether you think it does or not, as more and more books you read. It's just each one's got its own little nuggets. Like Missy just said, Murphy's affirmations. There are so many good affirmations in Murphy's book that just take those out and highlight them and keep those bits and put them somewhere and keep saying those. They're long, but they're good.
Yeah.
I think you should find a way to do it, but scheduling it might be a good idea.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, Virginia. Let's get Virginia out here. What's going on, girl?
Hey, oh my God, I'm a mess. I have to jump in the shower and get dressed. I have a very busy day. I want to offer a very practical suggestion, John, for the situation that Mandy and I and many of us are facing, is how to incorporate all these into our daily lives. I mentioned the other day, I regretted that I had not taken better notes on all of the books, and that I could just refer to the highlights in a journal, like just go back and forth. So I don't know if anyone would be agreeable to this, but I think we should, instead of moving on to newer and newer books, I think we should redo all the books we already did. I mean, how many times have you in the past read your books over and over again? So I would be, and there's new people that have joined that did not have the benefit of, The Richest Man in Babylon and some of the other ones that we did in a while ago. So I would say that we could go through the books once again, pick up the gems, and we could do it quicker.
Okay, well, that's an idea. Thank you. I do want to discover other stuff too. I mean, our next book is The 8 Pillars of Prosperity with James Allen. I've never read that.
Mhm. No,
So,
I agree, but I don't know, maybe we could intersperse or something.
sure.
Because they all have a very common theme for the most part, yet they might have different approaches
Okay.
to it. And,
Well, I've got one that I was thinking about for everyone here that you may, well, I've gotten a lot out of it. And it's Pitch Anything. Anybody here ever read Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff? It's a book on sales and persuasion. It's probably the best book ever written on the idea of posture. So, and I've read a lot of books on sales and stuff, and most of them are crap. But this one, holy crap. So it's not like a spiritual thing. It's not necessarily a personal development thing. Although, yeah, I think everybody could get something out of that. So I'm looking at doing something very different after we do James Allen, which will be our second James Allen book. And if it's anything like As a Man Thinketh, which is the one we already read, then it's going to be like a 2-week deal, and then we're done with it because they're brief. Kind of like Emerson's essays, right? Anybody read Emerson, right? I mean, you sit there, you can read like 3 essays in an afternoon, and of course the English is rough for me because I grew up in the 20th century. But yeah, thank you, Virginia. Thank you for that suggestion. Certainly, we'll go back and we'll revisit some of these books. Think and Grow Rich. I've read Think and Grow Rich 13 times cover to cover. So.
And you don't have a single highlight in there, do you?
No, not a single highlight. Although with the Kindle version, I do. I do have virtual highlights. Okay, but it's not. It's just Virginia and I have we have an understanding. She likes to draw in books. I will never mark a book. It's like a sacred thing. That's probably from my upbringing, right? So here is the holy book, and you never mark it, right? It's like the scrolls, and I don't know, maybe it's from watching, Jesus of Nazareth when I was growing up, and the scrolls were brought out by the rabbi, and they blessed them, and they rolled them up very nice, and they placed them back into that's how I treat books. Okay. Oh, good
Do
times.
one that I can make notes in and one that I don't.
Oh, okay. Great. Well, yeah, that's the beauty of digital, right? You can make your notes, and you can do your highlights, and you can do whatever the hell you want, and it's pristine, no matter what, pristine. All right. Shall we wrap up? Oh, yes. When do we do Cicero's Tusculan oh my goodness, I can't even pronounce disputations.
Tusculan disputations, arguments.
Yeah. Okay.
From when he was in Tuscany. Very
All right.
good.
Well, I'm going to have to dig into some Cicero. Okay. Hopefully it's been modernized for the modern American idiot like me. So, all right, guys, let's wrap up with that. Thank you, Mandy. I see you highlight books as well. All right. So we'll be back here tomorrow for Fun Friday. And I guess in the meantime, see how you can use these ideas, right? That's why we do this stuff. So you can use it. I will look forward to seeing you all again real soon. All right. Make it a great